All right, Kelvin, it's a new week, new drama, interesting stuff happening all around the world. But the second biggest thing that happened is that we have a problem, and it's that we are losing the war. Ghana as a country is losing the Jollof war. So a couple of days ago, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President of Nigeria, made a state visit to England. He met King Charles, and King Charles made, I don't want to call it a declaration or a proclamation. We have a lawyer here. He, Scratch can tell us what he means. But Mangana, what we heard is that from the king is that Nigerian jollof is definitely the best. None other comes close. And I'm like, first of all, let's respect each other. Your taste palettes, perhaps, I don't want to say mature because he's old enough to have a mature taste palette, but it's not sophisticated enough to understand the flavors.
Break it down. Let him break it down.
Like, I don't even know what I say. We have non-cheese speakers who listen to our podcast. So be the linguist and break it down for us. What does that mean? What does kwatreka mean in English? Direct translation.
The meaning is, if a naked person tells you that they are going to give you clothes to wear, look at them. They are naked. How can they give you clothes to wear?
We are being taken to Malaysia today to explain somebody's culinary expertise and his taste buds.
Look, Scratch, we are losing the Jollof war, and I can't accept it.
No, we are not losing it. I'm not sure we are losing it.
No, let's do the second time.
Come on, it's just to make him happy.
You see, at Charles's age, approaching 80, anything that tastes sweet and is soft and easy to chew is a win for him. So I will not fault two geriatric men for liking the same thing.
With all due respect, King Charles, sit this one out. Without much ado, as we used to say back in college and SS when we used to host these general meetings. Without much ado.
Yeah.
But I know we have a packed week. There's madness ongoing.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful week, a very, very wonderful week, and we are welcoming ourselves back to the 50-50 Football Podcast, bringing you the beautiful game from every single angle. You know how we do it. No bias, no agenda, just football, and we are ruthless. As you can always predict us, yes, ruthless, we spare no one, and we are very, very much open-minded with our takes. Yeah, my name is Kelvin Oswanza. I'm not doing this alone. I'm doing this with Kweku Safomenta and Nanasari, and today we are honored to have, yes, our honorable guest. You can call him Scratch, just feel free, but he's Kwabna Mensah Esquire. Yes, he's going to take us through the legal, the legal tussle between the Confederation of African Football, Morocco, as well as Senegal. Yes, I'm going to delve a lot more into that. This week in football has been absolutely unhinged. Putting things slightly, we've got a stacked episode for you today, so let's not waste any time. We are getting into the show. It's going to be a bit chaotic, controversial, and everything in between. African football is having a moment, and not all of it has been very much pretty. We are going to break every single piece down for you because we are asking the question, can Senegal, after this mayhem, actually go deep at the World Cup? And is CAF right with the decision? That is the CAF Appeals Board, right, with their decision to strip off the Lions of Teranga, who have the talent, the quality, the brilliance, what we saw at the AFCON, of the 2025 African Nations Cup title and the medals. All the players are not ready to even give out their medals, and the nation just today presented the trophy to the military for safekeeping. Well, we would also head back into Europe because UEFA Champions League handed English football a reality check. 3 English sides have been bundled out, 3 of them, and you cannot talk about any one of them leaving out Pep Guardiola's Manchester City and where the side they call themselves the Pride of London, the Abidjan Blues, Chelsea. We are going to talk a lot more into that. Let's not forget that there is the El Derby Madrileno, Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid. City rivals, different philosophies, same city. We are going to get a lot more into that game because both teams have managed to progress into the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League, and we are going to close it out with a Carabao Cup final. Arsenal versus Manchester City, silverware on the line, bragging rights on the line, and honestly, feelings on the line and the opportunity to make one unstable ahead of the Premier League title challenge. So get comfortable, plugged in, and let's get into it. This is the 50-50 Football Podcast, keeping it balanced, keeping it real. Let's get going. Keep your seatbelt strapped as we take you on an adventurous journey of exciting football conversation.
And at this time, my money intrudes.
They check like every week, they go to school.
Keep
They
it
go learn new
simple,
intros.
keep it balanced, keep it 50-50.
That's my favorite part of the whole intro.
That's my favorite.
Oh, gentlemen, let's quickly start. Today there's so much we can't afford to waste time. The key moments of the mayhem: controversial refereeing, upsets of the pitch drama, and nations impressed, others disappointed. Now, the details of the Africa Cup of Nations and the aftermath has been so dire. This is no new to anybody, but on Tuesday we were dealt with the message from CAF just about 10 minutes to the end of the UEFA Champions League games that Morocco have been awarded 3 points, 3 goals, and ultimately the trophy of the 2025 African Nations Cup because their opponent Senegal in the final are deemed to have forfeited the match, and CAF cited their championship, that is the AFCON regulations, that Senegal actually forfeited the game and the reason why they are stripping them of the right. So let's quickly get into it. But before then, I know Esquire is going to get us into all the legal tussling because a lot of us are just going by what we see from the rules and regulations that CAF has delivered. But ultimately, what CAF said that this is the decision that they made from whatever that happened, that the CAF Appeal Board decided that in application of Article 84 of the regulations of the CAF Africa Cup of Nations, Senegal national team is declared to have forfeited the final match of 2025 African Nations Cup in Morocco, with the result of the match being recorded as 3-0 in favor of the Federation Royale Moroccan de Football, that is the Royal Football Association of Morocco. So as it stands now, Senegal don't have the ultimate trophy. It is being deemed as Morocco are the winners. Now you go to the Article 84 and it says the team which contravenes the provision of Articles 82 and 83 shall be eliminated for good from the competition. This team will lose its match by 3-0 unless the opponent has scored a more advantageous result at the time when the match was interrupted. In this case, the score will be maintained. The organizing committee may adopt further measures. Now, looking at this with the 82 and 83 they mentioned, 82 states, if for any reason whatsoever a team withdraws from the competition or does not report for a crucial match or refuses to play or leaves the ground before the regular end of the match without the authorization of the referee, it shall be considered loser and shall be eliminated for good from the current competition. The same shall apply for the teams previously disqualified by the decision of CAF. And Article 83 says, a team that shall not be present on the ground dressed to play at the time fixed for kickoff or at most 15 minutes later shall forfeit the match. The referee shall register the absence of the team and shall write it in his report. The organizing committee shall take the final decision in this respect. Now, a lot of us are in Wonderland, but thankfully today we have a legal brain to help us delve into all these matters. They call them lacunas and whatever, windows. Scratch. Thanks for joining us this evening. Kindly let us know what this decision means, what the regulations mean. Are we interpreting them wrongly from the legal background? Yes. What do you have to say about this whole caused by CAF?
I think we need to set the sequence of events because most people might have forgotten what happened in the final. We have an understanding of it. So
feed us into it, yeah.
Yeah, so the crisis began in the closing moments of the AFCON final in Rabat with the score tied at 0-0. 90 plus 2 minutes, Senegal had a go-ahead goal disallowed for controversial foul by Abdoulaye Seck on Achraf Hakimi. Then during the 90 plus 8 minutes, after a VAR review, referee Jean-Jacques Ndala awards a penalty to Morocco. The protest head coach Pape Thiaw instructs the Senegalese team to leave the pitch. Whilst when we were all watching the game, you could see him calling his players off the pitch. Then the match is halted for 15 to 17 minutes as some players remain on the sidelines and then some had gone into the tunnel. Then Sadio Mane encouraged his teammates to return to the pitch Diaz misses the penalty, and then the match goes to extra time where Pape Gueye scores to give Senegal the 1-0 victory. And then Senegal are crowned champions. Now, you did read Article 82 and Article 84 as well as 83. In my opinion, I don't even think 83 applies because the game has started, they were properly dressed, and then they were playing. But on the 82, declaring that if a team refuses to play or leave the grounds before the end of the match without the referee permission, it shall be eliminated. As we all watched the game, we did not see the referee ending proceedings, or we did not see the referee saying that this one had forfeited match, so he had whistle to end proceedings. So I think that nuance is also very important going into the decision that CAF took. So, Scratch, you can take us from here.
Okay, so I think thank you for giving us the situation and all that came about the decision. Respectfully, I think my position will be that I do not agree with the appeal committee's decision as it stands now, but I will seek to objectively provide why the committee would come up with such a decision and the alternative to why I do not agree with it in its current form. I think the basic tenet of interpreting any document is to read the document as a whole. So not just to focus on certain provisions and come to a decision, but to look at the preceding sections to see the intent of the rulemaker and what ailment is sought to cure and which remedy it provided. Now, if you look at the AFCON regulations as CAF has provided for us, there are certain provisions as seen in Articles 23 and Articles 44, which relates to the powers of a referee and what a referee must do. And also, in coming to such a decision, we must note that it is not just the AFCON regulations that are at play. There's the laws of the game as the International Federation of Football Association boards has given for us. There's also the CAF statute as a whole, which is to administer all CAF administered programs and events and tournaments such as this AFCON. And then in extension, the rules of the Court of Arbitration for Sports. So a reading of all of these four laws as we stand here should give us, or should reasonably give us, a decision which is a bit different from what has been rendered now. If you were to ask my honest opinion, I think it's best to go step by step so everybody sees what truly was at play over here. So I'd like to refer to Articles 24 of the AFCON regulations, which is found in Chapter 23, which talks about the powers of a referee. So if you look at Article 24:17 of the AFCON regulations, it says that at the end of every match, the referee should send to the General Secretariat of CAF a maximum of 48 hours before the match, following the match, by express mail or by using the software competitions management system of CAF, a detailed report of the specific incidents or that happened during the match, which means that within 48 hours, the referee should have given a report on what had happened and what his honest opinions were concerning whatever incidents happened in the match. Now, if you go down to Article 40, which comes to deal with...
So first of all, Scratch, did they make the 48-hour deadline? Do we know that?
No, that is for the referee giving his report. So
okay, the referee's report.
That the referee would have given his report. When it comes to protest, it is normally should have been made 48 hours after the match. So the 48-hour timelines are simultaneous. So the time of filing your protest and the time of presenting your report are the same. In this case, Morocco did file the protest within the 48 hours, and then it was heard by the disciplinary board of the events management committee. And then after that, they appealed to this appeal board, which appeal is allowed under Article 44 of the CAF regulations.
Sounds good. So does that suggest that the initial decision was against Morocco?
Yes.
That's why they entered into an appeal. Okay.
Exactly. So the initial decision by the events organizing disciplinary committee was to award Senegal some damages, fine the coach, and fine certain players of Morocco for their antics with the towels, and then the Moroccan Federation as a whole for allowing the disturbances of the fans and the use of lasers in the eyes of the footballers. And that is the decision that Morocco appealed against. So we have this present one.
Right. So that's the initial decision that came out with a $1,000
Yes.
fine, etc. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Now let's understand the position of the law and where you stand.
From where I stand. Now,
Yes.
the referees are giving if I want to refer everybody, I'm sorry if I am sounding a bit legalistic, but if I'm
That's
to
fine.
refer
That's fine.
everybody
It's the reason why you are here. Don't worry.
Take your time.
to Law 5 of the rules of the game, which is made by the International Federation of Footballing Associations Board. The Law 5 says that at all times, we are to give respect to the decisions of a referee. So the Article 5 clause 1 says, each match is controlled by a referee who has full authority to enforce the laws of the game in connection with the match. Clause 2 says decisions will be made to the best of the referee's ability according to the laws of the game and the spirit of the game, and will be based on the opinion of the referee who has the discretion to take appropriate action within the framework of the laws of the game. The decisions of the referee regarding facts connected with play, including whether or not a goal is scored, and the results of the match are final. The decisions of the referee and all other match officials must always be respected. And so from the general reading of this clause, you are made to understand that whatever the referee decides within the ambit of the 90 minutes of play is final. In relating this to our present situation, when the incident happened, in as much as the players of Senegal left the field, went into their locker room, their captain for the day was still on the field and was still communicating with the referee. Deliberating with the referee, his players came back onto the field. The on-field decision of penalty was continued. Morocco subsequently played that penalty and missed. So I struggle to see where the forfeiture is.
Exactly, Shraj, and sorry for interrupting, because I have a question. First of all, what constitutes a forfeiture? What's the protocol for a forfeiture? What confirms a forfeiture? Because in my opinion, the referee needs to perform an act on the field to determine whether or not, or to confirm whether or not a team has forfeited a game. And I don't think we saw that, did we?
If we are to go to the timelines as given in Article 82, the CAF AFCON regulations, if you are 15 minutes late, you have forfeited. So
Right.
I want to imply that if I'm off the field for 15 minutes, I have also forfeited. So there are two key questions. Were the Senegalese team off the field for more than 15 minutes? And then as against the rule in the laws of the game, which the football associations have provided for themselves. If the referee has made a decision that it did not constitute a walkout, and for which play resumed, in the penalty, the advantageous decision was maintained and Morocco failed to take advantage of it, would this be properly being the forfeiture? And again, to go back into the legal side of it, there's the issue of estopel. Estopel is an equitable remedy where once you have made every consenting party believe a statement of fact or a statement of event or a current situation is true between us, you cannot deny the existence of that statement of fact or that statement of event. So once you have acceded to the referee's decision that it wasn't a walkout on the pitch, you have taken part in the match and all that happened after that decision, taking your penalty, missed the penalty, gone on to play one half of extra time before the goal was scored. Are you not legally stopped from denying that you considered that there was no walkout and there was no forfeiture? I mean, for me, from a legal perspective, that is how I would look at it if I were the people at the Court of Arbitration for Sports now. Because at the end of the day, the arbitration will be settled on legal grounds, in as much as they will consider the factual grounds that led to the appeal.
Well, but let's get to this. Even on the factual grounds, the IFAB laws that governs all football says the authority of the referee. Each match is controlled by a referee who has full authority to enforce the laws of the game in connection with the match. And the decisions made by the referee will be made to the best of the referee's ability according to the laws of the game and the spirit of the game, and will be based on the opinion of the referee, who has the discretion to take appropriate action with the framework of the laws of the game. And here, the spirit of the game is in what we call, quotation marks, which means they deem it very much prime. And all of us who watched the game realized that both parties, and even external parties, including Claude Leroy, were very much interested in getting Senegal back onto the pitch. The reason why they were constantly engaging with Sadio Mane, even the Moroccan bench and players were engaging with Sadio Mane to get his players onto the pitch, because Morocco thought that, wow, we had a penalty. Let's just bring them back.
At that period of time, there was no way they were going to stop the match, because that penalty was golden. If it went for Brahim Diaz, minutes of, I don't know, is it dumbfoundedness or what's that caused them to want to have a panic in the 90th minute? I mean, aura farming at its worst. That was the worst time to want to aura farm. But at that point in time, and I will draw us back on this issue of the spirit. You see, I will borrow from Ghanaian constitutional law when we say that the Constitution has a spirit, it's capable of growth, it's a living being. What we are trying to say is that your interpretation of it must always be to give efficacy to a provision, never to reach an absurdity and say, well, this is what is said, and so I'm done. This is the absurdity that has been caused. So the spirit of the game of football would always be to finish the game within the time limit and to get a winner. That is what I would want to believe, that in such a high-stakes match, the right-thinking referee will not be concerned with filling a match report that says, on the grandest stage of them all in terms of African football, failed to deliver a result. More so when the FIFA president, Infantino himself, was present for the final. And so in that spirit of the game mindset, he would have discussed with Sadio Mane, who was the captain. And if you look at the laws of the game again, because I want to make reference to it so that the listeners are aware that it is legal. The captain of the day makes the decisions for the team. And so if the captain has decided we will play and all of it has gone on, then I am very constrained in coming to agreeing with the decision that Senegal forfeited. Also, if you look at the AFCON regulations, specifically Article 23, which has to do with match commissioning, the match commissioner also had a part to play in this whole, I call it a kerfuffle. If he made a report that one team was not willing to play anymore, and it was agreed to by the referee, then the match would have ended. The host team or whoever caused it would have been fined, and then the match would have been replayed, or this Article 84 would have been applied to give a forfeit for Morocco to be declared winners. But I struggle to see, reading the whole AFCON regulations as a whole, especially the powers of referees, of match officials, and even what Article 83 in particular seems to state. Article 83 gives the semblance of the party failing to attend the match at all. It's not walking off, but failing to attend at all. And this is somebody who had played 90 plus minutes. I struggle to see how that application of Article 83 should be so strained to mean that Senegal forfeited that match. But that's my honest opinion. As to whether the Court of Arbitration for Sports will agree with me, that is another thing altogether.
Well, all right. Okay, Esquire, I will be coming back to you. Sorry, you have anything? Yeah.
Very interesting if CAF would make available the referee's report, because I was actually trying to find it, because I wanted to know whether the referee had put in the report that there was a forfeiture.
That one, let me tell you, forget it. That one, you won't get.
So you see, the reason why I think the referee's report perhaps is inconsequential in this conversation is that if there had been a forfeiture, a protocol had to be followed. We've seen this before. We saw Esperance versus, was it WAC of Morocco or something?
Yeah, it was final. Yes, it was WAC 2019.
Yes. There was a forfeiture. They left the field for over 1 hour. Referee came to the pitch and then signaled. So they went through protocols. It just doesn't happen.
Yes,
referees will go through protocols. So let me give an example. Let's see if it applies. Counter-attack. Cunha scores a goal. Before the ball enters the net or before the ball crosses the line, referee whistles for a foul. At the end of the day, we check VAR, there was no foul. Goal disallowed. Do you think we can go and say, well, the referee made a mistake, so it's now a goal? The referee
No.
has whistled. So no matter
His
what,
decision-
it's no longer a goal.
So I like this example because we see it all the time. At the end of the day, whether the referee is instructed to go to the VAR screen or not, it is his decision that is taken. And we have seen
True,
this so many
ultimately.
times this season where what's this? Is it Graham Taylor? The famous referee or Graham Poole?
Yeah, it's Graham Poole. It's Graham Poole, 2006. Yeah.
No, Howard Webb. Graham Poole is the one that showed 3 yellow cards.
Who threw 3 yellow cards? I'm sorry.
That was Graham Poole.
As a Man U fan, I have it against him for all eternity. So I'm sorry if I mentioned his name. But we have seen instances where Howard Webb has come to explain that the referees did make a mistake, but it did not overturn the decision he made on the field. You are to give efficacy to his decisions on the field. And that is the rule that applies all the time. We are to respect that decision, no matter how egregious it is. So once the on-field referee has given a decision and the players have played based on it, again, I struggle to understand, but it would help if also the full decision from the appeal committee is out for us to read and scrutinize. And we are also mindful of the fact that under Article 48 of the CAF Statute of 2024, Senegal has 10 days, to appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sports.
Senegal, they sent the trophy to the military camp.
Well, I mean...
They sent the trophy to the military camp. So, if you're a man enough to speak Wolof to the Senegalese in Dakar, you can go back for your trophy.
I'm sure the lawyers will... Yeah, sure.
So, yeah. I mean, again, I'm not a lawyer, but what I've heard is that in appeal cases, you are oftentimes not allowed to introduce new evidence. Oftentimes not allowed. So, what changed? The initial decision was against Morocco. What must have changed in the appeal process or during appeals?
So,
is it a different argument being made or what?
So, I think the first thing is that an appeal is by way of rehearing, which is the same set of facts are given to a different layer of facts to see if they will come to a different conclusion. So let us presume that the new trial of facts, when seized with the same information from the final, came to a different conclusion for whatever reason. So I would want to see the actual reasoning in full, not just the short orders that were read out. The actual reasoning, what went into the minds of the appeal committee for them to come out with such a decision? What factors from the base of facts that we all know influenced their decision? For all you know, the match commissioner had some additional notes. The referee had some additional notes, something that could have changed the tie.
Right.
And I know
Kelvin is eager to go to his next segment. But I have one question, perhaps my very last one, is that is there any legal basis that supports Senegal's position or that reinforces Senegal's victory as AFCON champions 2025? And, any legal basis or legal position that supports
for me, if I were Senegal's team, I would argue the issues of the authority of the referee as providing the laws of the game, keeping in with the referee's autonomy and decision-making. I would also look at the finality of the referee's decision-making, and then a proper application of Articles 82 and 83 of the AFCON regulations. And then, of course, there's the issue of expropel. You have acceded or complied with certain directives of the referee and gone ahead to play a match. Can you now deny the authenticity of that decision you took? So in terms of the legal arguments, I would not sit here and say I am the lawyer for the Senegalese Federation. But in my early assessment of what is before me, this is what I was doing.
Well, but I should let you all guys know that, one of the members, Djibouti FA boss Suleiman, were very strongly backs, that is Mohamed Roble Jama, who is a CAF's appeal committee member. And he reveals that he was not part of the supposed hearing that strips Senegal of its AFCON title. So that is one of the members making a revelation that he was not part of anything that went on. And that is Mohamed Roble Jama. And he comes from Djibouti. So that is the current situation. But I don't know if Kwaku and then Asari you'd want to have anything up on this, but I would want to have a quick word. If you punish someone for their misconduct, which everyone accepts, I think it was a misconduct. Senegal don't get punished for a game that was officially concluded in 120 minutes. The incident happened 90 plus 6 minutes. The game was delayed, and just as the spirit of the game, the referee and the rest of the Moroccan and all other dignitaries who were present allowed the game to go on. I don't think there's any way where they would have to come back and punish Senegal, because in the first instance, there was no mention of forfeiture of the game. How then do they come back to arrive at that situation or decision? And I even asked questions of that. Senegal were fined $615,000 for their misconduct. The coach got $100,000 fined for ordering his players for the walk-off. So I think that if CAF comes back after 2 solid months to say there is a different thing, the entire ruling betrays their bias in the decision they've made. And I think there is this that we need to know. The vice president of CAF, Fawzi Legja, the first vice of CAF, is the person who actually started the appeal for Morocco. And in the last CAF executive committee or executive council meeting, he was not present. And it reveals a lot. Now, I have questions. Why did the referee not end the game when, the Moroccans felt that there had been long overdue, 23 minutes? Why did the game continue after Senegal walked off? Why did CAF officials, including the referee in Dala, didn't have their report not impressing upon the ref to stop the game per the rules of the game? And why did the same CAF officials proceed with the closing ceremony and award medals and trophy to Senegal? And I think any literal interpretation of, Article 82 will lead to absurdity and, there will be chaos, because this is where, the purposive approach and common sense are used in interpretation of laws.
Kelvin, listen, we've litigated this CAF issue for so long and it's murky. Like, the more you dig into it, the murkier it becomes, right? Like, you realize, it's not as clear as they made it seem. Even for Patrice Motsepe, 24 hours after the decision was communicated to the whole world, make a video to say, well, I'm not involved, blah, 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 blah. That alone signals, yes, you are the chief spokesperson and principal image or authority or figure for CAF. However, to come out and even basically play the fifth is wrong, in my opinion, right? And it tells you that there's a lot of corrupt practices ongoing in the back. And for Morocco to come up and say that, all of a sudden they want to they are willing to host the women's AFCON. Come on, what does that tell you? Okay. And it seems as though they are holding CAF to ransom. I understand that Patrice Motsepe came in and wanted to be very professional with how he's handling CAF, but now he's been played. Let me put it that way. It's been a quid pro quo situation. Morocco would say, you know what, whenever there's an emergency situation, we have our facilities, we are going to give it to you for free or at highly subsidized costs for competition. However, we also need this from you. So scratch my back, I scratch your back situation ongoing here, right? And, politics is everywhere. Politics in football and football governance now is destroying the game, and it's very, very unfortunate. I really, really respected Patrice Motsepe when he came in. I liked his background, club owner, businessman, astute businessman. I thought, he would be the right leader for us. But this road that, he's leading us on, I don't think it is the right way to go. Football governance needs to be sanitized. Unfortunately, it's like a cycle. We go back and forth, but it just needs to be sanitized. And lastly, perhaps my mic drop moment, ball matches are decided on the pitch by footballers and referees, not in the boardroom.
Well, it's quite strange. It's quite surprising, but the next couple of days is going to be exciting. Just like Oku mentioned, Senegal have given the trophy back to their military men to keep it, safe. And we've seen posts from various Senegalese footballers telling them, if you can come for it now, the medals. But the Moroccans are celebrating. They think that, yes, it's been written, and across the various divides, yes, things are being changed. Wikipedia, all the, historians are changing their facts that Morocco have won it. And this is the second time Morocco is winning the AFCON, and they actually did not play a final to win it. So they were just being awarded it. So that is the current situation. But it's time for us to move on and get into the UEFA Champions League. It was totally a massacre for English clubs. And that was how English clubs were shot in the UEFA Champions League. Yesterday, we saw Barcelona thumping Newcastle United 7-2 to qualify on an A3 aggregate scoreline. Tottenham Hotspur defeated Atletico Madrid 3-2, but they had already been beaten by 4-2 at the Wanda Metropol, 5-2 at the Wanda Metropolitano, so they couldn't have another opportunity to get a victory. Liverpool made their progression 4-0 victory over Galatasaray. And in the last game, it was FC Bayern Munich thumping Atalanta 4-1 to get a 10-2 aggregate victory. Bodo Glimt, the surprise package. I'm not sure many predicted this, so we're looking forward to this. But Sporting Club Portugal defeated them 5-0 after extra time to edge them on a 5-3 aggregate scoreline. Arsenal beat Bayer Leverkusen 2-0 to progress on a 3-1 aggregate scoreline. And then Chelsea sat home. They were beaten 3-0 by Paris Saint-Germain. PSG qualified 8-2 on aggregate. Manchester City at the Etihad were beaten 2-1 by Real Madrid, and then Madrid progressed on a 5-1 aggregate scoreline. Quick thoughts. Asari, you look at what transpired, what we saw. Would you say that the Premier League isn't as strong as many think, or you think these were scorelines that every single person expected and there's a different dimension to it? And any quick thoughts on any of the games that you felt you were not expecting the kind of results we saw?
I think we did say that when it comes to the Champions League, especially in the group stages, the English teams do have a leg up during the group stages. And a lot of times, I think because we do have, in the past couple of years, we had a couple of teams that have qualified for the Champions League who will not necessarily be considered as some of the more glamorous, consistent Champions League teams that would normally grace the occasion, have gone in there and have flattered to deceive and sometimes be very disappointing. So it kind of comes off as they are of the same level as the teams that they are playing in the knockout round, but they are not. Newcastle is nowhere close to Barcelona in terms of the quality of players that they have. Spurs is nowhere close to Atletico Madrid. So those two teams alone, and the current iteration of Chelsea doesn't have the quality of players to play against the likes of PSG. But yes, in the group stages, they do face lackluster opponents and they're able to win those games to rack up the points needed to qualify. And because they qualified convincingly, we had about 5 of the teams that qualified automatically and then one that played the playoff also. So the assumption was they were going to perform as well. But the only teams going into the knockout phase who were on any sort of form or had any sort of respect going into were Arsenal, Manchester City, and I think who else? Who else qualified?
Well, Arsenal and then Liverpool.
Yeah, Arsenal, Manchester City, and Liverpool. They were the only teams that you could say, yes, these teams have some pedigree and can go toe-to-toe with any of the quality opponents in the next round. But Newcastle do not have that. And certainly this current Chelsea team do not have that. Granted, outside of that, Spurs tried and they did their best in the second leg. They put up a very face-saving performance. And I think if they're able to play the same way, they should be able to survive relegation in the league. Newcastle was competitive for 1.5 games. And for whatever happened in the second half, it became a bloodbath. That is when Barcelona showed that the quality they have was far better than Newcastle. And they put the game on them and then they destroyed them in the second half. Chelsea lost the game in the first half because they decided to go toe-to-toe when they could have, massaged the result and got a more respectable result to come to Stamford Bridge with to make it easier to get a result. But they decided to come back with that 3-goal deficit, which was always going to make it difficult for them to overturn. Same with Manchester City. So I think, yes, the quality of the English teams when it comes to the smaller teams in the Champions League, there's a huge gap, especially in the top half of the Premier League as compared to the other leagues. The other leagues, apart from their top teams, the rest do not have the same pedigree. But when you move on to the knockout stages where the top teams now face the top teams, those second-rate English teams do not have the same quality to be able to go toe-to-toe with them. And hence, they're always going to fall by the wayside.
Well, it's quite a surprising result to the
Mangana was a staunch defense of the English Premier League.
I know, right?
Okay.
I know.
It's very okay to admit that.
I know, but I'm not sure. See, if Manchester City plays against Real Madrid, if Manchester City plays against Real Madrid and Real Madrid eliminates them in the Champions League, it's not a surprise. And I think if
I don't understand this defense.
if Tottenham is beaten by Atletico Madrid, I don't think it's a surprise. It should be a surprise, that. And then the final one, I think that was Newcastle United being beaten by Barcelona. Maybe the manner in which they lost, but these are games that do happen. These are things that do happen.
I don't think. Sorry.
Yeah, Kwamna, go ahead. Have your thoughts before.
I don't think we are giving Newcastle the credit they deserve, because in the first match they were the superior team. The second match, as I said, the pedigree came in, and then that is where they showed they were still youngins when it comes to playing Champions League football.
You people, they are not youngins. It's the manager in the last couple of games. I don't see a man. How do you go into a game against Barcelona? It's just three.
The last time was relevant EPL. I think some of us were still in primary school.
Most of us were still in primary school.
And for context, primary school was 24, 25 plus years ago. So they are youngins in their current states. You can't dispute the fact that they've had a long period in the wilderness post-relegation comeback. So they are not the Mike Lowen, Alan Shearer, Jonathan Woodgate's Newcastle anymore.
And you are comparing Elanga to Rafinha, Barnes to Yamal.
No one has compared you.
No, I'm just saying
no one has made that comparison. No one has made that comparison.
I don't think those were the players going against each other.
No one has made that comparison.
Those were the players on the field.
No one has made that comparison.
No, but those were the players on the field. You are saying that I'm giving a staunch defense of the Premier League. And I am giving you the reason why I said Elanga was starting the game for Newcastle.
Where's the gulf in quality between Pau Kubasi and Malik Chow and then Dan Ben? Where's the gulf in quality? If you want us to litigate player by player, we can do it.
We can go.
Aside the front three and then Pedri in the middle, there isn't much difference. Because even in their number 6, Tonali, Bruno Gomares, and whoever plays alongside them should be able to
player. Newcastle may be able to match them.
They can match them. They can match them, unless you get to Yamal and the rest.
It became the issue of the special talent that is Yamal and the country, Rafinha and Lewandowski, as against the pedigree they have, because Bernal and Co. This is even
Bernal and Co. Would they make Newcastle's team? They won't.
No, but this is their second Champions League. So when the light shine brightest, they've been there. So that is what some of these people will lack.
Kobe, and see, the point I'm trying to make is simple. It's very okay to admit that this year, the quality of the EPL has dropped. It's very obvious. It's very obvious. It's very obvious. And it's manifesting in the Champions League as well. The quality of the EPL this season has dropped.
Let's keep it a buck. League leaders are known as set-piece FC, not for their open play, but the number of defensive errors they can cause whenever a set-piece is played.
Yes, we are debating our league leaders.
You people are saying this, me or
over-reliance.
Arsenal is not the side that has scored most goals from.
You are the ones debating them. When your teams face them, they didn't win the game. That is the whole point of the league. You play everyone twice. So it is up to you whether they are set-piece FC or not. If you are open play FC, open play and win.
Exactly.
Arsenal qualified, did they not?
So don't let me make it about us now. Let me just wrap my point up. And you see, it's simple. It's very okay to admit that the quality of the EPL has dropped this season, and it's very, very evident and reflective in the result that we've seen. For Chelsea to lose across both legs, what? Now, listen, hold on. CAF, I don't know the timing of CAF's message, but they've really, really saved Chelsea. And what was Rosinia thinking? 85th minute, bringing Garnacho on and handing him instructions whilst you are down by how many goals at home? To come and do what exactly?
Garnacho has come to save them.
To come and do what exactly at that point?
They have to come and buy
handing
Dalot
up instructions to Garnacho to do what exactly?
Tell them to come and buy Dalot to unlock Garnacho.
Listen, and this is a reflection on Chelsea's leadership. The poor choices that they made to hand over a big club like Chelsea to a novice, an amateur, someone who is completely out of his depth at this level. He was outmanaged, outcoached completely. He was beaten to a pulp by Luis Enrique, and it was so easy for them to beat Chelsea. I was rooting for Chelsea when the pairings came up. In fact, before the pairings came up, I predicted PSG versus Chelsea. In fact, Luis Enrique said he wanted to meet Chelsea. Think about it. Taunted Chelsea, told them I want Chelsea. They gave him Chelsea and he beat them to a pulp. Home and away. 5-2 at home, 3-0 at the Stamford Bridge. I mean, I saw Chelsea beat Barcelona at home. I saw how aggressive they were, how physical they were. Reduce the game to duels. Whoever wins the most duels wins the game. And then you get to play PSG, and then you play into their own hands. The very unfortunate thing for me is Mamadou Sarr. I really like him. I think he's very talented. But unfortunately, it's always the big games. There's always a baptism of fire for him. The first game was against Arsenal, now against PSG, and then there's always a mistake that he makes, which is very, very unfortunate. I hope he's able to bounce back from this and become the top defender that we expect him to be. But it was a very, very horrible week for English clubs. Spurs found a way to win. Liverpool, Galatasaray, I was surprised, to be honest with you. Anfield on the day was rocking. I honestly thought... Well. I mean, Atletico Madrid went to the game knowing they had qualified. There wasn't much for them to do.
But the Spurs that we know and them actually even being able to win the game, they did well. I think this is it got to those first win, right? Yeah.
I think it's his first win. Yeah, and
they showed some fight.
Liam Rosinia needs to raise his hand up and say, you know what? Jumanes for chairman, I can't carry this burden.
Liverpool should have also scored 8. They just decided that they weren't good. The keeper was good. The keeper was very good on the day.
I think Liverpool were poor.
But Liverpool should have scored.
Look at the penalty Salah played.
Yeah, Liverpool should have scored more. Look at the penalty he kicked.
That was horrible.
Yeah,
but Liam Rosinia, it's time to raise your hand and say enough. This is beyond
you people, when he was appointed, you should have known. Someone who was assistant to Rooney. Now Rooney now
Now the funny thing is that he's always throwing these word salad around. What do you say? Man and age. I manage men to age. Hey, Masa.
Yeah. Some of us are not. Sincerely, if you put Bashir Hayford in charge of this Chelsea team, he will do a better job than Liam. Let's be sincere. How do you think Liam Rosinia does a better job than Bashir Hayford with all these?
He doesn't have a fancy
I'm not saying he does a better job, but
he doesn't have a fancy
let's relax for Liam. Liam still has a couple of games to show that he can do something.
He doesn't have enough to show at this level.
If we put Coach Afrani, we put Jose Mourinho. Mourinho has won a lot, but we shouldn't forget that the technical, the
use
leadership...
Arsene Wenger, please. Use Arsene Wenger. Don't use Mourinho. Use Arsene Wenger.
Anyway, we move on. The road to Budapest is already settled. PSG will be playing against Liverpool in the quarterfinals. Yes.
Okay, I was about to say, Arsenal, right now, you have no excuse to be in the final. I've seen your
Who doesn't have an excuse?
Not to be in the final.
You don't have an excuse to be in the final. No.
A game at a time, please. A game at a time.
You have no reason not to be in the final.
Yes, we'll come back to discuss this after Easter, please.
No, we've seen your path. See, your path is now...
You haven't seen anybody's path, please.
You are playing Sporting Lisbon.
Football is not...
Oh, come on. You are playing Sporting Lisbon, and after that, you are playing... And between Atletico Madrid and Barcelona, I think you can beat either of them. So that shouldn't be a problem.
Gentlemen, we are taking a game at a time.
All right.
Let's go.
Thank you, Abufa. So, PSG will play Liverpool. Real Madrid will play against FC Bayern Munich. And then we have Barcelona against Atletico Madrid. And then Sporting Club Portugal against Arsenal. So we'll be getting into that after the Easter break. But let's quickly get into the matches for this weekend. We have a few minutes to wrap this all up. Is the first title that can define the season for Arsenal and Manchester City. City now only have 3 trophies to compete in: the Premier League, the Carabao Cup on final on Sunday, and then the FA Cup, which they are still involved in. Now, Kwabena, starting from you, quick thoughts on that particular game. Where do you see this going in the next 2 minutes?
Yes. So for me, in the next, looking at the game and looking at the morale of the two teams going in, as much as I would not, my soul does not agree with it. I think Arsenal slightly pitched Pep to their first title of the season. I'm looking at how the two teams have played against each other during the course of the season. I remember that infamous 1-1 draw with Gabriel Martinelli's last-minute effort. Arsenal were not a bad team on that day, even though they showed for most parts of it. Coming back from that Champions League loss and giving City's current form, immediate match before the Champions League with a 1-1 draw of West Ham, I think Arsenal picked it just this time.
That's from Kwabena. Kwaku, what do you make of this final? Do you think Mikel Arteta
I think it's a must-win. Yeah, I think it's a must-win for Arsenal. I think after you beat them 5-1 last season, it's been hard for them to come back. And they've made so many changes to the team. Pep is still trying to figure so many things out. So I think between Arsenal and Man City, Arsenal look a more settled side. Man City, they are still trying to figure out so many things. Am I going with Semenyo and Haaland up front? Haaland is also a pale shadow of himself. Am I playing my two wide wingers? Am I doing that? Am I reverting back to what was working and to stick Semenyo on the wing and play with Omar Mamouche? Like, it's a whole lot. Okay, where does Cherki fit in this? He comes on and he does very well, but when I start him, I don't really get what I need from him. Rodri isn't the Rodri of a couple of years ago. So Arsenal look a more settled side. Ruben Dias is still trying to find his partnership with Maguire, right? So Arsenal look a more settled side, very well established. They understand what they are doing, and I strongly believe that they are going to win this game. I think it's going to be an Arsenal win. I see a very slim margin victory for Arsenal. Slim margin victory for Arsenal.
Asari,
Yeah.
what do you make of this final? Do you think it will ultimately decide how the rest of the season ends for both sides?
I know for a couple of weeks ago, I did say whoever wins this title, this particular title would have the psychological edge to win the league. But because of how City faltered against West Ham and now the gap that has been open, I don't think this final is as consequential as it was 5 weeks ago. I still do think Arsenal need to win it just because it would boost their confidence. It would make the players feel like, okay, now we are winners. We can win things. And it would make the run-in of the last 8 games or 7 games of the season easier for them to complete and win. And then it would make their Champions League campaign also easier going into looking at the draw that they have. But the jeopardy here is what Pep is also playing for. Being knocked out of the Champions League, damn near conceding the title to Arsenal in the Premier League, and we not knowing whether he's going to stay or leave at the end of the season. I think for his legacy even though his legacy is not in doubt at Man City, he would love to end his reign at Man City with a trophy at least. And now it looks like the only trophies he can win are this and the FA Cup. So I'm sure he's going to devise a plan to try and win against Arsenal and do everything that they can to take this victory and see if they can still push Arsenal all the way. But I think it will go to extra time, and I think Pep will do something to win the game. It will be a slim victory, but I think Pep will do something to win the game. But that wouldn't prevent Arsenal from winning the league this season, unless they decide to do what they call it. They decide to do a Spurs.
Well, unless Arsenal decide to do a Spurs, but I don't think Arsenal is going to do a Spurs. But yes, before we leave England, and Manchester United have a very tough game on Friday. Could we see them beating Bournemouth and cementing their place in the top 5?
Those Friday night games, Monday night games have not really served Manchester United well. So just the timing of the game is a problem for them. But with the current squad and the kind of momentum they are on, and the kind of and the victory over Aston Villa, I think if it comes to quality and it comes to momentum and all of that, I think they are riding the same wave as Bournemouth is also riding, and both of them feel like they are coming out ahead. And the first game was very exciting. The first leg of this game was very exciting. I think it ended 4-4. But Bournemouth do not have Semenyo in the squad, and United are a bit more are fitter. They have more players back now. So I think United should be able to win against Bournemouth. I would prefer them to win convincingly and without stress by keeping a clean sheet. But like we know, clean sheets in this season are a premium to come by. So I would go United win 2-1.
United winning 2-1.
You know the oracle is always right.
The oracle may always be right. Quickly, there is the Madrid derby on Sunday. The two teams are struggling with, their goalkeeping unit. Courtois is injured for Madrid. Jano Black is also injured for Athletic Club. Real Madrid will miss Raul Asensio, Ferland Mendy. There is Rodrigo, Dani Ceballos, Eder Militao, but Rodrigo Mendoza, Pablo Barrios, and then Marc Pubil would also be out. Atletico lost to Tottenham. Real Madrid beat City at the Etihad. Where do you guys see this going? Is this going to be another slump, or you think that Abeloa now has firm control over the team and they'll be able to bank on their resurgence against Manchester City and win this?
Madrid in the La Liga is a different team. It is really weird. When I watch them in the La Liga versus the Champions League, I saw a couple of Madrid friends on X saying that it's easier for them to play in the Champions League for a couple of reasons. I don't think I think it's just the fact that, like Bill said, they raise their spirits, they raise their performance. Everything changes around the club as soon as they hear it's Champions League week. And I really, really hope that they can translate that form in the La Liga, because they had the opportunity to be first. Barcelona were trailing them by 1 point at some point in the league, at some point this season. Now they are trailing Barcelona by 4 points, and if they want to still be close and be in contention for the trophy, they need to win the game. The interesting thing is that in the last games, Madrid was 5-2. What I expect Madrid to do is to go in there and be very, very aggressive. In derbies, oftentimes tactics play a role, but it's about who wants them more in local derbies.
Yep.
Right. And after they lost 5, it's Madrid have it all to play for. They need to go out there and win this game if they want to stay close to Barcelona.
Well, that has been it, and it's been an interesting day. These are the thoughts. I think Arsenal is beating Manchester City. Real Madrid will beat, that is Atletico Madrid. I don't see how Atletico are going to get past them at the Santiago Bernabeu. Arsenal know that if they win this against City, it only breaks City the more and gives them an edge for the Premier League title as well. And the last time Arsenal won this was in the 90s. They haven't won this before. Again, they are struggling to win the Carabao Cup. Hopefully, Teta breaks this. And Arteta hasn't lost a game as a player or a manager at the Wembley. And so hopefully this works to his favor. But there's going to be lots to discuss. Hopefully next week when we come your way. The AFCON chaos, Senegal and Morocco tussling with CAF, and hopefully the Court of Arbitration for Sports will be involved in this. Don't forget that English clubs were humbled in Europe. There is the Madrid derby this weekend, one for the ages to define Alvaro Arbeloa, the Carabao Cup final that will determine between Arsenal and Manchester City who gets the edge going into the international break and the return for the rest of the season. It's going to be interesting this weekend, but football is always interesting. No script, no predictability, and that's why we love it the way. And that's why you keep coming back, and we see you. We appreciate you the more for all your comments, for all your thoughts. They push us to serve you with the very best. If today's episode had you nodding, all you have to do is to send in all your messages through our various social media handles. Share this episode with that one friend who thinks they know football better than everyone else, so we can also learn from them their takes on what we said. Let them hear this and also humble themselves to serve us with the knowledge they have. We all know that one friend. Send it to them without contest. Just drop the link and walk away. Find us across our social at 50/50 Football Pod, and we are very much active reading your comments, and we will respond if you come with a very hot take. All you need to do is you need to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, follow, leave a rating, 5 stars only. We accept lots, but 5 stars will be very great. Until next week, my name is Kelvin Oswans. I did this with Kwaku Safomenta and Anasari support from our League of Brain Scratch. Stay passionate, stay informed, and remember, it's always 50/50.